I think, Nina, you very early at the start of this conversation, you talked about failure and having some permission to fail. And I don't know how you got that permission, because most large organizations don't love this idea of failing. They certainly don't like the idea of spending money to fail. So maybe there are two parts to the question. One is, how did that come to be that was accepted? And then secondly, and maybe even most importantly, what do you do with the failures? How do you bring that learning into your organization?
Good question. Okay, so the big company people out there, how many of you guys have internal innovation teams inside the big company that are tasked specifically? Few, right? Yeah, so I worked for some very large corporations before where they tried to sequester a group. They're like, okay, these peeps over here, they're going to do innovation. We're going to try we're going to try to do something different, keep it completely separate from the rest of the company. How well does that go? In my experience, not very well. When revenues are tight, or they're first group to get cut, right? And this is where I think NTT, and there's some other companies who've done this as well, have done the right thing by pulling it out, right? There's no P&L attached, and that is critical. I'm also not sitting with the salespeople within a certain operating company trying to make a number. I'm not distracted by that. This goes back to, I think I mentioned it before, kind of this connected isolation. Of course we're connected to NTT, right? Of course. But we're by ourselves in Palo Alto, and we have been given, just by our charter and the fact that NTT Holdings put us there, they made a huge investment to have presence outside of Japan, to leverage Silicon Valley, to understand what was happening, and it's a gift. It's a gift. And more large companies with the wherewithal should go this direction, because, again, the engineering culture that we are allowed to have and the money that we're allowed to spend, which sometimes yields nothing. Now, there's always something of value within a failure. Always. In fact, sometimes failing could have been the best thing that could have ever happened. There are times when we've had colossal failures. We've flushed, 40 million and a year down the toilet. But you know what? It's interesting. As time goes by and the months go by, we're like, wait a minute. That little piece of that failure that we have long written off, we can resurrect. There was something there, right? And so there's always something to be gained in a failure, for sure. But it is a gift, and it is a unique opportunity. And kudos to NTT and to corporations who have done this, setting up a completely separate company, specifically tasked to innovate or disrupt, or whatever terms you want to put on it. Yeah.